guys, I'm David Campo here, Performance Specialist at Willies and Akins Performance. What we have behind me here is our tribute to the classic Eleanor. This is our take and rendition of it, so modern for 2020. We're going to get into it and show you guys what exactly goes into making a 700 horsepower Mustang scream down the street. So we start off here. This right here is not seen much. It's the base of the supercharger. This is what's called a heat extractor, and this takes a lot of the work of putting it in. What it does here is, you can see that we have the injector set up on it. It also takes place of the factory manifold. And what the heat extractor does is it takes coolant, passes coolant through it to actually cool down the hot air. You imagine driving in, hot summer days, all the heat of the engine, that starts to soak into your air intakes, and that can really rob your power and performance. So what the heat extractor does, takes all that hot air, mixes it with some cold coolant, chills the air down. Colder air means more power. What next that you have to do to modify the front of this is you actually have to modify the front timing chain cover. And what this does is this actually puts in a new tensioner, which is a much stiffer tensioner than a factory, to retain the belt for the supercharger. As well as top of all that, you actually have a lot of electronics that have to go into it. You kind of caught me in the middle of this here, so you can see there's a whole lot of extra electronics that have to go into it, as far as plugging into the factory ECU and a remap of the factory ECU. What you can see behind me here is laid out of all the parts that go into this thing. So you can tell that it's not just, a simple slap a charger on and go. There's a whole lot of stuff going into this. We have parts like, air hoses, bracketry for the heat extractor, all kinds of hardware, and then right here where the magic happens. This is the Roush Performance Stage 1 Supercharger setup. Alright, so what we got going on next here is we're going to start installing of the heat extractor, coolant tanks, and expansion tanks. What we have here is this runs on its own separate system here aside from the factory coolant, so you have to install these tanks and expansion to deal with extracting all that heat from the air intake temperatures. It comes with its own pump, which that's where we showed you before with all the wiring that you have to have this actually manually wired in to where it comes on with the vehicle. This runs on its own separate system, therefore it needs its own pump. Then next what we're going to be doing is actually doing the heat extractor radiator. This goes up in front, right in front of the factory radiator, tucks in nicely behind the bumper. You never even know that it's there. So we'll go on and we'll talk about the rest of the car. The rest of the car is 2020 Mustang Performance Pack 2. So therefore, already a great platform to start off to add the Roush supercharger. Comes with the Brembo brakes on it, Michelin Sport tires, high performance alloy wheels, and a Torsen 373 rear differential. Alright guys, well here it is. We just wrapped up our tribute to Eleanor in the 2020 Mustang Performance Pack 2. Let's take a look inside and see it all wrapped up. First glance you notice there, Roush Performance Supercharger sits right there on the top. Beautiful piece. Cranking out 700 brake horsepower. Next we also got, as part of the Performance Pack 2, we got the Mustang GT strut tower brace. We actually are kind of one of the only people that incorporate this back in using the supercharger. What we have next here is, you can see that you have the factory coolant tank bottle, and then next here is that heat exchanger bottle that I was telling you about earlier. That is its own separate system that cools the air for the intake of the supercharger, and then that helps you build more power. Alright, so that's what we're going to get into here. We added 4 performance hydraulic struts to it. Kind of cleans up the engine bay, also frees up some space if you want to pop the hood and you just put this whole supercharger setup. Definitely want to show it off. Also added on top of it is the Roush cold air intake that comes with the kit. This is a 5-inch intake, allows for maximum power and the least amount of drag with air induction into it. Now this is one of the first Roush 2020 Mustangs done, and with going on this setup, we actually ran into some tuning issues. So we worked with Roush, called up, had them figure it out. We actually had to reprogram it and reset it up. Total install time was about 12 hours, give or take minus with the tuning issue. But we like to think, you know, that we are pioneers of the sport, pioneers of performance, and so being the first ones, it's kind of some of the things that you run into. I'll go ahead and shut the hood and let you guys take a good look at the rest of it. Added the dual black stripes. Traditional Eleanor definitely gives it that vintage vibe and that traditional look. All right, well that's enough about what's under the hood. I know you guys are wanting to hear this thing, as am I, so let's go drive it. So another crazy aspect of the 2020 Mustang is the ability to electronically control the tone of the exhaust. With just a few pushes of these buttons here up on the digital display, you can have track screaming loud sounds, or if you don't want to wake up the neighbors in the morning, say you go to work early, you can put it on quiet mode and it's almost as quiet as a hybrid. So we're on normal exhaust mode. Change it down to track.
So you can shift exhaust mode on the fly.
On the fly.
Campo, would you buy this Mustang?
I would definitely buy this Mustang.
What do you think?
On a dime.
Awesome.
Tribute to Eleanor here from Akins Performance Wild Willies is an absolute blast. All right guys, well thank you for checking out our tribute to modern day Eleanor. If you like this video, please comment and subscribe down below. We're constantly putting out content all the time, so let us know what you want to see down below in the comments.